Merry Meet and welcome, and today we're going to be making the Sims scrambled eggs and bacon, but vegan as always. And since this is more of a level 2 technically, we're still not quite up to the point where it makes sense to make it a whole bunch of a difficult process. So we're still just going to be using this just egg for our scramble, and then we're going to be using some already made plant-based bacon. Today we're going to be trying out Light Life, and I just, between the options that I had today, this just felt like the best to put on the side. And you'll see we're going to also use this for some other recipes as well. So let's get started with frying up this plant-based bacon. All right, let's get started. So we're going to turn on our gas stove. I'm using a bit of a bigger burner, so I always tend to put it close to low, but you do typically want it around medium. Like, that's where most ingredients are going to have you put your heat, is to have it around medium. And then we're going to go ahead and lightly coat this with some oil. Sorry, just hit you. So a lot of times with bacon you don't need that much, so we're just again going to be looking to see that it does in fact start to get hotter and a little bit thinner, helping cover the whole bottom of the pan. I used about a tablespoon of oil, I would say, but whatever feels good. Again, you just want to lightly coat your skillet, and that typically means using a little bit less, and that way when it heats up it actually covers it completely. So less is more in this case. Okay, feeling good about that. We're going to go ahead and just place the strips in a single layer and cook 3.5 minutes. And we're gonna turn closer to the end. So something that I believe is true about plant-based bacon and real bacon is you do have to be careful. Okay. Sorry, one of the first strip just like fell apart in my hand, so let me just grab a couple, and that might make our life easier. They're like stuck to each other. This is part of the review. Okay, here's our first one. So I'm like pulling it apart and then placing. I'll show you in a second. And this is just for me, so I'm just going to do 4 strips of bacon to match my couple of eggs. I think in Sims they probably only do like 2 or 3, but I got ahead of myself. So here is the bacon real quick. So this is what it looks like. So we're literally just going to let it sit on this side. And what I was saying about bacon is, this is true for all bacon, is you want it to cook on one side as much as possible, because that's how you're going to get the crispier-ness. If you're using too much oil, it's going to be hard to get that on the first couple. So give yourself patience, because typically when you're making bacon, you're making more than just for yourself, right? And sometimes you're not. So you have to give yourself some practice if you haven't been cooking with it. But that's the trick, is to let it cook longer on one side than to flip it for half the time, because since bacon is so thin, you are able to go ahead and pretty much let it cook from one side for most of it, and that's how you're going to get that crispness, is you're just essentially letting it get as crisp as possible before just letting it cook on the other side for about 30 seconds compared to the full side. So we're pretty much going to leave this here for at least 2 minutes, if not the whole 3 minutes, and then we'll flip it for the additional 30 seconds. Okay, so we'll check in with you soon. Alright, so here we are back with our bacon. So now they were looking pretty crisp, so we're going to go ahead and flip these over. See if I can do it while on camera. Woohoo! So it is, I normally use tongs, but since I'm using literally also this pan for the scrambled eggs, part of the reason why I'm cooking this here and not on the flat top I have. So it did get a little burnt, that's on me. That is something easier to do with plant-based bacon, but we can see it's super crisp, so we're only going to let it be here for about 30 seconds. You get burned bits with bacon too, so just giving ourselves some grace with this. Anyways, I'm using a spatula versus tongs just because I'm going to be using the same pan, so I'm going to use the same spatula, make my life a lot easier. And then as these finish, what I'm going to do is, you see I have this plate here with bamboo paper towel in there, and so I'm going to put the bacon on that paper towel just like you normally would to help remove the grease and excess, if that's your jam. If you're like, no, I want all of that, then go for it. I personally don't. I never have. So just like real bacon, I put it onto this, and then to help pat it dry for a little bit, I'll remove the paper towel and we'll use the same plate as you saw before for our eggs. With that, I'll check in with you soon when we're getting ready to cook up our eggs. Talk to you soon. Merry meat again. So we still kept our heat on low because our pan is still going to be getting just as hot. We're going to put a little bit more oil on here. We won't need much. Our pan is still very much oiled, just more of a reassurance than anything. And then since it's colder oil, we're going to give it a little bit, a few seconds to heat up. Since it is olive oil, it heats up, I think, rather quickly. But again, just going based off of learning your stove, your oil, and the utensils that you use. With that, we're going to go ahead. We pre-shook up our just egg already, and we're going to put it in here. Just like scrambled eggs, if it's hot, it starts cooking immediately. If it's not, then... Sorry. I meant to say we're also not using all of it. We're only using about a quarter or a third of it to just essentially get the amount of eggs that we want. And then, just like normal eggs, if it's hot, you can start scrambling it, which we're hearing. I'm going to add some pepper right now. Doesn't necessarily need it, but I'm a pepper gal. So if you have any spices that you're obsessed with, this is the time to do it. And it cooks very quickly, and it will burn your pan. I haven't had just egg where it doesn't burn your pan, which kind of sucks. But also, if you're not good at cooking scrambled eggs, it looks very similar. So essentially what it's looking like. So you see how it looks just like scrambled eggs in the way how it can stick to your pan, but just like normal. Because that's really the way that you get scrambled eggs, is you're just scraping the pan. Sorry, using this to help me. But yeah, and you're just going to cook this for literally, since we already had a really hot pan, about a minute to the consistency that you want. And there you go. You don't want to cook it too far because it will firm up once it's as it cools down too. So I'm going to leave it right here, and we're going to go ahead and plate this. Talk to you soon. Merry meat one last time. So here we are with our finished scrambled eggs and bacon, but vegan. So as you can see, I already tasted it. This definitely tastes just like crisp bacon. So if that is your favorite kind of style to have it, so I do tend to like a little bit more floppier and a little bit less pronounced bacon flavor, which I know is ironic, but if you are a bacon fiend, this is going to be so good for you. It is somewhat hard to pull apart, so you do have to be a bit patient. But I mean, when you're buying cheap bacon, which this isn't necessarily, I think it's reasonably priced, but like when you're buying like this cheapest bacon that you can, it's typically stringy and hard to pull apart. So it's that same kind of energy. You just want to be careful, but you are gonna get a good piece of plant-based bacon from this. And then I love Just Egg. I've had it so many times, so this is a tried and true. I cannot recommend it enough. We are not sponsored, but I absolutely love it. So here is our breakfast. I'm going to make myself a little coffee, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.